The warning. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning, transmitted simultaneously to every major observatory and space agency on Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen was the first to recognize its significance, her hands trembling as she analyzed the complex mathematical patterns embedded within the signal. It wasn't random space noise or a glitch in the equipment. It was a warning. "Director Matthews, you need to see this," she called out, her voice steady despite the anxiety churning in her stomach. The aging director of the Global Space Observation Network hurried over, his weathered face illuminated by the soft glow of multiple monitors. The message was elegant in its simplicity. A massive quantum surge was approaching the Milky Way, a phenomenon that occurred once every few million years. It would sterilize entire solar systems, strip away atmospheres, and reduce planets to radioactive husks. The Galactic Council, a coalition of advanced civilizations, was offering humanity a choice: evacuation to a safe haven beyond the surge's reach or certain death. Within hours, the United Nations convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation watched in stunned silence as holographic projections displayed the devastating simulations. The quantum surge would reach Earth in exactly 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days. Ambassador Lin of the Galactic Council stood before the assembly, his translucent form shimming slightly. A real-time projection from a ship orbiting Jupiter. "We have evacuated 17 civilizations from the surge's path," he explained, his artificial voice carrying traces of what might have been pity. "Our arc ships can accommodate your entire population. This is a generous offer, given your species' technological infancy." Dr. Chen sat in the observer's gallery, analyzing every word, every gesture. Something about the ambassador's certainty bothered her. She noticed how he flinched almost imperceptibly when humans asked questions about fighting back, about finding alternatives to evacuation. General Diana Santos, head of Earth's newly formed crisis response team, voiced what many were thinking. "With all due respect, Ambassador, humanity doesn't have a history of running from threats. We adapt, we innovate, we survive. 5 years is a long time to prepare." The ambassador's response was immediate and dismissive. "Impossible. The surge will destroy everything. We have seen it happen before. The physics are absolute." But Dr. Chen had already started running calculations on her quantum tablet. She raised her hand, her heart pounding. "Ambassador Lin, your simulations assume current technological levels, correct? They don't account for accelerated development under crisis conditions." The slight pause before his answer confirmed her suspicion. "The calculations are comprehensive." General Santos leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Dr. Chen, what are you suggesting?" "The warning itself changes everything," Chen explained, standing up. "Knowledge of the threat, combined with access to even basic galactic scientific principles, creates new possibilities. Humanity has achieved its greatest technological leaps under pressure. The internet, spaceflight, nuclear power, all developed during times of crisis." The room buzzed with renewed energy. Ambassador Lin's projection flickered, his composed demeanor cracking slightly. "You cannot possibly hope to survive. The surge will." "The surge will come," General Santos interrupted, "but it will find a humanity it doesn't expect." She turned to address the assembly. "I propose we thank the Galactic Council for their warning and their offer, but humanity will face this challenge on our terms." The vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would stay and fight. As the assembly dispersed, Dr. Chen approached General Santos. "They're hiding something," she said quietly. The ambassador's reaction to questions about resistance, it's as if the very idea frightens them. Santos nodded. "I noticed too. They're too eager to evacuate us, too certain of our failure." She paused, looking out at the New York skyline. "Assemble a team. The best minds we have. I want to know everything about this quantum surge, and I want to know what the Galactic Council isn't telling us." That evening, as Dr. Chen began reviewing the technical data provided by the Council, she discovered the first discrepancy. The equations describing the surge's interaction with matter contained an elegant but subtle flaw, a deliberate omission that, once corrected, opened up entirely new possibilities for defense. She smiled, understanding dawning. The Galactic Council wasn't trying to save humanity. They were trying to control it. They had encountered something in humanity that terrified them, not just our resilience, but our fundamental relationship with death itself. Unlike the other species they'd rescued, humans didn't view death as something to flee from at any cost. We faced it, challenged it, and sometimes even laughed in its face. And that made us dangerous. The quantum surge was coming, yes, but it wasn't just a threat. It was an opportunity. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what happens when you back Earth into a corner. Dr. Chen sent out a mass message to the world's leading scientists and engineers. The subject line read simply, "Project Phoenix begins now." The race against extinction had begun. But unlike every species before them, humans weren't running away. They were running toward it, grinning all the way. Project Defiance. 3 months after Earth's defiant stand, the Galactic Council's arc ships departed the solar system. They left behind a single automated beacon, broadcasting the same message on repeat. The offer of evacuation stands until the final day. Dr. Sarah Chen barely noticed their departure. She stood in the heart of Project Phoenix's central facility, a sprawling underground complex beneath the Rocky Mountains. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing real-time updates from research teams around the globe. The quantum surge's mathematical model spun slowly in the center of the room, its complex patterns now revealing secrets the Council never intended them to find. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, she explained to General Santos, who had just arrived for the weekly briefing. We were approaching the problem from the wrong angle. The Council's equations treated the surge as an unstoppable force of nature. But it's not. It's a wave function, and wave functions can be manipulated. Santos studied the holographic model, her military training helping her grasp the strategic implications. You're saying we can fight it? Better. Chen's eyes sparkled with excitement. We can surf it. The next few months saw the largest unified scientific effort in human history. Traditional rivals shared research openly, corporations redirected their entire R&D budgets, and universities transformed into round-the-clock research centers. The quantum surge wasn't just a threat anymore. It had become humanity's greatest teacher. Dr. Marcus Patel, leading the Material Science Division, made the first major breakthrough. His team developed a new class of metamaterials that could actually absorb and redirect quantum energy. The Council's simulations never considered this possibility. He explained during a global conference. They assumed materials would try to block or resist the surge. We're doing the opposite. We're letting it in, but on our terms. The implications rippled through every aspect of Project Phoenix. Engineers began designing massive quantum collectors that would transform the surge's destructive energy into something useful. Biologists explored ways to temporarily shift human cellular structures to ride out the quantum wave. But it was Dr. Chen's discovery about human consciousness that truly changed everything. Late one night, reviewing brain scan data from volunteers exposed to low-level quantum fields, she noticed something extraordinary. Human minds didn't just resist quantum interference. They adapted to it, began to work with it. Our consciousness already operates on quantum principles, she announced to a stunned meeting of project leaders. We've been doing it naturally, unconsciously, for our entire evolution. That's why the Council fears us. Other species have to be protected from quantum effects. We absorb them, integrate them, grow stronger. The revelation sparked a new direction in their preparations. Instead of just defending against the surge, humanity would embrace it. Training programs were developed to enhance humanity's natural quantum affinity. Children showed particular promise, their developing brains quickly learning to consciously manipulate quantum fields. Not everything went smoothly. The first full-scale test of the quantum collectors ended in disaster when an unexpected resonance cascade destroyed the facility. 12 scientists lost their lives. but their sacrifice led to crucial improvements in the technology. Each setback was met with renewed determination, each failure transformed into a stepping stone toward success. General Santos established a global defense grid, integrating the quantum collectors with conventional military systems. The surge isn't our only potential threat, she reminded the world's leaders. The Council's reaction to our refusal to evacuate suggests they might not be the benevolent guardians they claim to be. Her concerns proved warranted. Long-range sensors detected periodic probes at the edge of the solar system. The Council was watching, waiting for humanity to fail. But what they saw must have confused them. Instead of a species preparing for doom, they witnessed a civilization being reborn. Cities began incorporating quantum-responsive architecture. Transportation systems were redesigned to operate within surge-like conditions. The very fabric of human society was being rewoven, becoming something that could not just survive the quantum surge, but thrive in it. Dr. Chen kept working on the consciousness angle, developing a theory that would have seemed like science fiction just months earlier. The surge isn't a natural phenomenon, she confided to Santos one evening. It's too precisely tuned, too perfectly structured. Someone engineered it. The Council. Maybe their predecessors. Think about it. What better way to control galactic evolution than by periodically wiping out species that become too adaptable? Santos absorbed this in silence, watching through the facility's windows as the sunset painted the sky in quantum prediction colors, a new phenomenon caused by their testing. They didn't expect us to see through their deception, she said finally. They definitely didn't expect us to turn their doomsday weapon into an opportunity. Humanity had passed the point of no return. The quantum surge was coming, but Earth would meet it with open arms and a knowing smile. The Council's greatest fear was about to be realized. Humanity wasn't just going to survive. They were going to evolve. The storm arrives. The quantum surge announced itself with a symphony of light. Aurora-like patterns cascaded across the sky, but instead of the familiar green and blue, they shimmered with colors human eyes had never seen before. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Phoenix Command, watching reality itself begin to bend. All quantum collectors online, reported Marcus Padol through the Global Command Network. Energy absorption beginning exactly as predicted. Well, mostly predicted. He managed a nervous laugh that echoed through command centers worldwide. The first wave hit Mars. Through enhanced telescopes, Earth scientists watched as the red planet's atmosphere began to glow. But instead of being stripped away as the Council had warned, it danced with quantum energy, redirecting it through patterns that perfectly matched their theoretical models. The Mars arrays are working, Chen announced, allowing herself a small smile. Their automated quantum collectors on the red planet were performing exactly as designed, providing real-world validation of their theories. But Mars was just the rehearsal. Earth was the main event. General Santos stood at the primary command console, directing humanity's coordinated response. All population centers report shield integrity at 100%. Quantum synchronization protocols are active, beginning consciousness integration phase. This was the moment of truth. In protected facilities around the world, billions of humans began the consciousness exercises they'd been practicing for months. Children led the way, their minds naturally attuning to the quantum frequencies that now permeated the solar system. The surge's main wavefront reached Earth's outer atmosphere. Traditional sensors went dark, but the new quantum-aware systems painted a clear picture of what was happening. The planet's magnetic field, enhanced by thousands of quantum collector arrays, began to flex and pulse with absorbed energy. Energy levels are higher than projected, Chen reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. The Council's data was off by a factor of 3. They understated the surge's power. Deliberately? Santos asked, though they both knew the answer. Almost certainly. They wanted us to attempt an inadequate defense and fail, but we built our systems with safety margins they never imagined. The sky transformed. Those watching through quantum-shielded windows saw reality fracture into crystalline patterns, each shard showing a different possibility of what Earth could become. The quantum surge wasn't just energy. It was potential itself, concentrated and weaponized. In quantum bunkers worldwide, the first reports began coming in. Children were describing visions of possible futures, their enhanced consciousness riding the quantum waves like surfers on an ocean of probability. Adult minds followed, guided by the young one's example. "We're not just surviving the surge," Chen whispered, watching the data stream in. "We're learning from it. Every second it hits us, we understand more about how reality works at its most fundamental level." The Council's automated beacon suddenly changed its message. Impossible energy patterns detected, requesting immediate intervention. But no help came. The Council's ships remained at their safe distance, watching in what Chen imagined must be horrified fascination. Then came the moment they'd feared and prepared for. The surge reached its peak intensity, and for one eternal second, Earth existed in all possible states simultaneously. In that moment, humanity's consciousness expanded beyond anything their predecessors had dreamed possible. When reality snapped back into focus, Earth was transformed. The quantum collectors had absorbed enough energy to power human civilization for centuries. The planetary shields had held, protecting the atmosphere and surface. But the real changes were more subtle and far more profound. Neural quantum coherence is stabilizing across the population, reported Dr. Peddle from his facility in Mumbai. The surge didn't just pass through us. It awoke something that was always there, waiting. In the aftermath, as the strange auroras slowly faded, humanity began to understand what they'd become. The quantum surge, designed eons ago to cull adaptable species, had instead catalyzed human evolution. Each person could now perceive quantum states naturally, manipulate probability at will, and see the underlying patterns of reality. Chen found Santos in the command center's meditation room, where she was practicing the new abilities that every human now possessed. "The Council's beacon has gone silent," Chen reported. "I think they're trying to decide what to do about us." Santos opened her eyes, and for a moment, Chen could see quantum possibilities swirling in them. "They'll come," she said with certainty. "Not to rescue us this time, but to contain us. They'll see us as a threat now." "Are we?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. "To their way of doing things?" "Absolutely." Santos stood, quantum energy playing along her skin like static electricity. "We didn't just survive their test. We turned it into a gift. That's the one thing they've never understood about humanity. We don't accept limits. We transform them." Above them, the sky had cleared, revealing stars that now seemed closer, more accessible than ever before. Humanity had not just endured the quantum surge. They had absorbed it, learned from it, grown because of it. They were no longer just an emerging species trying to survive. They had become something new, something that made even the Galactic Council tremble. Evolution's children. The Galactic Council's response came 3 days after the surge passed. Their fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation. 50 ships, each larger than Earth's largest city. They expected to find a devastated planet. Instead, they found something unprecedented. Earth glowed with quantum energy, its entire surface now interwoven with visible probability fields. Humans had not only survived, but had transformed their world into something that defied the Council's understanding of what was possible. Dr. Sarah Chen watched the Council's ships through new eyes. Like every human, she could now see the quantum structure of reality itself. The Council's vessels appeared crude, almost primitive in their attempt to control quantum forces rather than work with them. "They're scanning us," General Santos observed, standing beside Chen in the newly upgraded command center. "Their sensors must be going crazy." She smiled, probability waves rippling across her skin like water. "Should we give them a show?" At her signal, Earth's quantum defense grid activated. Billions of humans joined their consciousness in a synchronized demonstration of their new abilities. The planet's quantum field pulsed once, and every council ship suddenly found itself occupying multiple probability states simultaneously. The council's response was immediate and predictable. They panicked. Their fleet scattered, individual ships trying to escape the quantum effect. Only the flagship remained in position, its engines flaring as it fought against probability itself. A transmission cut through all frequencies. "This is High Commissioner Vax of the Galactic Council. What have you done?" Chen took the lead in responding, her voice calm despite the gravity of the moment. "We did what humanity always does, Commissioner. We adapted. We evolved. The quantum surge you used to cull adaptable species, we turned it into a catalyst for our transformation." There was a long pause before the reply came. "Impossible. The surge was engineered specifically to prevent this kind of evolution. No species has ever faced it head-on." Santos interrupted. "They all ran when you offered evacuation. We stayed. We learned. We grew." The council ship's scans intensified, trying to understand what humanity had become. Their sensors revealed a truth that must have terrified them. Every human on Earth now existed in a state of quantum coherence, their consciousness operating on levels that the Council had thought impossible for biological beings. "You don't understand what you've done," Vax transmitted, fear evident in his voice. "This level of quantum integration, it's dangerous, uncontrollable. You could destabilize the entire galaxy." Chen couldn't help but laugh. "Uncontrollable? Look around, Commissioner. We're not just controlling it. We're living it. The quantum realm isn't something to be feared or contained. It's a natural part of consciousness that your people forgot long ago." Through their enhanced perception, humanity could see the truth about the Council. They weren't evil or malicious. They were afraid. Eons ago, their ancestors had discovered the quantum nature of consciousness and had been terrified by its implications. The surge had been created not just to cull adaptable species, but to prevent any civilization from reaching this level of quantum awareness. "We're sending a delegation to your flagship," Santos announced. "Not to negotiate, but to teach. Humanity has learned things about quantum reality that your people need to understand." The Council's response was predictable. They tried to raise their shields, but in doing so, they demonstrated how little they truly understood about quantum mechanics. Their defensive systems, designed to resist quantum effects, were useless against beings who had become one with quantum reality. Dr. Chen led the delegation, stepping through probability itself to appear on the Council's bridge. The alien crew recoiled in shock, their technology going haywire in the presence of truly quantum-integrated beings. "You fear what we've become," Chen said gently to the assembled Council representatives. "But look closer. We're not destroying reality. We're experiencing it as it was meant to be experienced. The surge didn't break us. It completed us." She extended her hand, quantum energy playing between her fingers. "Let us show you what's possible when you stop running from evolution and embrace it instead." The Council members watched in fascination as Chen demonstrated humanity's new understanding of reality. She showed them how consciousness naturally interfaced with quantum fields, how thought could shape probability, and how their ancient fears had blinded them to these fundamental truths. "Your ancestors created the surge as a weapon," she explained. "We've transformed it into a tool for growth. That's what humanity does. We take our challenges and turn them into opportunities." The impact of this revelation rippled through the Council's fleet. Some ships remained hostile, their crews too frightened of change to accept what humanity had become. But others, particularly the younger members of various species, showed intense curiosity about humanity's transformation. As the day progressed, something unprecedented began to happen. Council crew members who spent time with humans started to experience their own quantum awakening. It wasn't the dramatic transformation humanity had undergone, but it was a beginning. The potential was always there, Chen explained to a stunned Commissioner Vax. "In every species, your ancestors just convinced everyone to fear it instead of embracing it. But that ends today. Earth had become more than just a planet that survived the unsurvivable. It had become a beacon, a teaching ground where species from across the galaxy could learn to reconnect with the quantum nature of consciousness that was their universal birthright. The Council's greatest weapon had not just failed to destroy humanity, it had helped create something entirely new. A species that could show the galaxy a different way forward, one probability wave at a time. Galaxy's new guardian. 1 year after humanity's quantum awakening, Earth had become the center of a galactic renaissance. The planet that was supposed to die now pulsed with possibilities, its quantum-enhanced cities gleaming with colors that existed in multiple probability states simultaneously. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Quantum Integration Center, watching as representatives from 30 different species learned to access their latent quantum abilities. The huge crystal dome overhead shimmered with probability waves, each ripple representing the moment another mind began to understand its true potential. The Arcturians are particularly gifted, General Santos observed, joining Chen at the observation window. Their crystalline neural structure takes to quantum integration almost as naturally as human children do. Chen nodded, watching as an Arcturian student successfully manifested their first probability field. They were always capable of this. All species were. The Council just convinced everyone it was impossible, or worse, dangerous. The truth about the Galactic Council's history had emerged gradually over the past year. They weren't evil overlords, but rather the products of ancient fear. Their ancestors had discovered quantum consciousness integration eons ago and had been terrified by its implications. Rather than risk losing control, they had created the quantum surge as a way to prevent any species from reaching that level of development. Latest report from the expansion teams, Santos said, pulling up a holographic display that existed in several quantum states at once. We've successfully stabilized quantum awakening in 15 more systems. The Council's old guard is still resistant, but most younger members are embracing the change. That had been humanity's first major decision after their transformation. To share what they had learned, Earth had become a teaching center, where species from across the galaxy could safely explore their quantum potential. The process wasn't always easy, and not every individual or species was ready for such a profound change. But for those who were, the results were extraordinary. Commissioner Vax is requesting to speak with you, Santos added with a slight smile. Apparently, he's finally had his own quantum breakthrough. Chen found the former council leader in the meditation gardens, his usually rigid form now flowing with quantum energy. I understand now, he said as she approached, why your species refused to run, why you had to face it head-on. The surge wasn't just a test of survival, it was a test of consciousness itself. And now you understand why we couldn't keep this knowledge to ourselves. Chen replied, sitting beside him. Quantum consciousness isn't just an ability. It's a fundamental aspect of life itself. Suppressing it was like trying to suppress evolution. Above them, Earth's quantum shield had become a thing of beauty rather than mere defense. It pulsed with the combined consciousness of billions of minds, human and alien alike, all learning to exist in harmony with the quantum nature of reality. The changes weren't limited to consciousness. Human technology, already revolutionary before the surge, had evolved into something that bordered on magical. Quantum computers that operated across multiple probability states simultaneously, ships that could navigate through possibility itself, medical techniques that could heal by adjusting quantum probability patterns. But perhaps the most profound change was in how humanity viewed death itself. Through their quantum awareness, they had discovered that consciousness wasn't limited to a single probability state. Death wasn't an end, but rather a transition between states of being. That's what truly sets humans apart, Vax observed, watching young aliens playing with probability fields in the garden below. Not just your adaptability or your courage, it's your fundamental relationship with mortality. You never saw death as something to fear, but as part of a larger pattern. Chen understood what he meant. Even before their quantum awakening, humans had faced death differently from most species. They joked about it, challenged it, accepted it as part of life, rather than an enemy to be feared. That perspective had made them uniquely suited to embrace quantum reality, where existence itself was a spectrum of possibilities rather than a binary state. An alert chimed softly. Another quantum surge had been detected at the edge of known space, but this time, instead of fear, it brought excitement. Humanity had learned to predict these events and had transformed them from weapons into tools for growth. The next surge will reach the Carina sector in approximately 3 years, Chen announced to the assembled representatives. We'll begin preparations immediately. This time, we'll help those systems embrace the change rather than flee from it. As she spoke, she could see probability waves rippling through the audience. Species that had once been enemies were now united in purpose. The quantum awakening had revealed a fundamental truth. Consciousness, in all its forms, was connected. The barriers between species, between minds, between different states of existence, were more permeable than anyone had imagined. Earth had become more than just a survivor or a teacher. It had become a guardian of evolution itself, ensuring that no species would ever again be denied their right to grow, to change, to become more than they were. The quantum surge that was meant to cull humanity had instead seeded a transformation that would reshape the galaxy. And at the heart of it all was the uniquely human ability to face the unknown with a grin, to challenge death itself, and to share their victories with others. As night fell over the Quantum Integration Center, the sky above Earth glowed with possibilities. Humanity had not just survived, they had shown the galaxy how to truly live. In doing so, they had transformed the greatest weapon ever created into the greatest gift the universe had ever known. The story of humanity's quantum awakening would be told across the galaxy for eons to come, not as a tale of defiance or survival, but as a reminder that the most profound changes come not from running from our fears, but from facing them head-on, with courage, curiosity, and above all, hope.